Just been Qayin here. This is actually the second podcast that From the Ashes Publishing has actually done. We're spotlighting the magicians right now that are offering services through the house. Today we have a very special guest as J.S. Garrett is joining us. Hello, my friend.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. It's good to have you part of the house. I'm very honored to have your presence there.
Well, I'm very honored to be a part of it, man. I mean, this is a big deal for all of us, and we got some really great practitioners that have joined the team. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to future works, man.
Absolutely. So basically, we're going to be kind of talking about your rights today, what you're offering, kind of what goes into that, what the mechanics of them are. But before we get into that, I kind of am interested in a little bit about your magical path, kind of how you got where you are today, essentially. Your work is, to me, it comes across as a lot more shamanic, dealing with a lot of spirit animals and such. Can you go into any kind of detail about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is pretty shamanic in its nature. I don't really practice from any one specific system. I kind of study and delve into as many as possible and take what works and discard the rest. But as far as the shamanic aspect, my path working really started with Belial. And he then introduced me to Astarte and Shemyaza. And the gnosis that I receive from these three spirits is very, very shamanic in nature, in that they teach you to tap into the very essence of magic itself. And a lot of this includes working with animal spirits and things of that nature, which are extremely potent. They're extremely primal, and they're very powerful in that they've been around longer than humans, and they were not created by humans, so therefore they're not corrupted by humans. And,
right.
It's very, very primal and very potent. And I utilize a lot of blood and animal sacrifice in my workings, as well as body parts and things of that nature, just to give it that primal essence and power that goes into the working. It's very old world. I don't really know of many people who practice this type of magic. I tend to incorporate blood sacrifice into most of my workings, and it's not merely a symbolic gesture. It's whenever a creature dies, a shockwave of life force energy is then released. Doing this in a ritual setting allows the practitioner to harness that energy that is being released from that sacrifice and channel that into the working at hand, which amplifies the working 100 times over.
It makes complete sense. I mean, this is sorcery that, as you said, is very old world. And, it's not something would be considered left-hand path or right-hand path. And there's a lot of grimoires back in the day, and like 6 and 7 books of Moses actually comes to mind immediately when you talk about sacrificing animals. There's a lot of rites where that require the sacrifice of doves or different birds or different creatures for different particular effects. So, I mean, it's not, most people associate, sacrifice with completely like black magic, completely or the left-hand path or something darker. And in reality, it's actually a technology that's been used primarily by both sides, by both systems of magic, whether it be right-hand path, left-hand path, regardless, across the board as a technology, essentially, because that's how I see science and magic is the same thing. So what you're talking about here is using this energy to amplify the right, which, again, it's not a right-hand, left-hand path thing. It's simply something that's been incorporated here that is a science that amplifies the right. And like you said, a lot of people aren't really utilizing this kind of technology anymore. So what you're doing is not only bringing everything kind of back to the old world or back to the roots of where sorcery began, but also, offering this to people now in this day and age, where they're able to kind of access this technology for their own rights or for their own their own ends, essentially. If you're able to do these things for them and help them out in this regard, then that's definitely a service that I'm sure is appreciated by quite a lot.
Absolutely. And, this is something that a lot of magicians who would want to practice this are not able to due to their location, where they live. If you live in the middle of New York City, you're not going to be sacrificing animals in your apartment complex. It's just not going to go over very well with the general public. And as far as this being a technology, I mean, that's very much how I look at it. I mean, this is science to me, and I do these rituals over and over again until I get it down to a science, really seeing what the cause and effect is and perfecting the action at a distance, I guess you could call it. And it's not right hand or left hand path. I mean, this is tapping into the very essence of magic itself. And most people on both sides, right and left hand path, they frown on and shun blood sacrifice. I mean, it's just not acceptable, even in the really scary satanic orders. I mean, they just don't do it anymore. So that's
right.
a big reason why people come to me, because I am in a location where I am capable of offering this service, and it's a service that you can't find many other places, especially in the U.S. So
right.
Yeah, my pleasure to bring this back, as you put it.
Absolutely. So you've got all of this, basically you've been known for your deification rite, which, I have experienced this firsthand, and it was amazing for me to go through. I've heard other people talk about their experiences with this rite. It's something that obviously has gained a lot of attention because it is actually really powerfully impacting not only my life, but other people's lives as well that you're offering this service to. But what you're doing here with From the Ashes Publishing, you're actually offering quite a few actually, other rites that, in my opinion, are just as equally as powerful, though targeting kind of different subjects or different areas of one's life, essentially. The first rite that I see here that comes up essentially is the successful business rite. I'm assuming this is something that is incorporated to help one's business, obviously.
Yes. Well, their financial situation in general. I mean, this is designed to create financial stability, remove obstacles that are standing in the way of your financial stability, and it also influences people, as in, business partners, clients, things of that nature. It's a very broad ritual that I'm able to custom tailor specifically to the client to fit their specific needs. So what I do here is I evoke spirits that specialize in wealth and prestige. I then petition those spirits on behalf of the client, and then I offer those spirits a blood sacrifice, an animal sacrifice on the client's behalf. And this, not only does this empower the working, but I'm offering something in return. I'm not just summoning a spirit, asking it to do you a favor just because I asked nicely. I'm making an exchange, and a blood sacrifice is highly preferable. That also gives the spirit a vast momentum of energy to push this desire into reality. So it's very simple. There's a lot of work involved. It's an outdoor ritual, obviously, because it is messy. I set up a ritual circle. I build a large fire and perform the evocation, and then make the sacrifice and the petition. So pretty straightforward, but very powerful and very effective.
That's how I like to set up my rites of going through my books or looking at my different systems that I have put out. It's very simple, but very powerful. And I think that there's a lot of rites out there and organizations out there that really, really complicate a ritual with a lot of unnecessary steps that, in my opinion, actually takes away from the power of the rite itself. It's almost as if the main focus or the main goal is lost, and it's just focusing on the rite itself, which I don't find is beneficial at all. Now other people could disagree with that, and obviously have gotten great results with it, but it's like very simple and powerful magic is something that I found to work the best. So I mean, I definitely understand with what you're saying there. And again, being outside with the fire under the stars, I mean, you can't beat that kind of energy to be put into your workings. It's just something about that's very special. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of practitioners are more focused on the flair aspect. Whenever I do a rite, nothing is for show. I don't have any props. I don't use sound effects in my videos. Everything that you see is a tool that has a purpose. And I look exactly like I do now. I wear blue jeans and a t-shirt, and keep it simple and effective. I do agree with you that doing these other unnecessary things, it may trigger a psychological response in the practitioner to wear a headdress or face paint or have props, things like that. But for me, it does take away from the focus of the ritual. So yeah, I do like to keep things simple and straightforward.
Absolutely. Again, yeah, I found that to be the most powerful way to go about things. So then there's Astarte's ultimate love spell that you're offering, which obviously is looking at relationships, I guess. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that's really cool, and it has a lot of different uses that it can be used for. It can be used to mend and rejuvenate a doomed relationship or marriage. It can be used to manifest a new relationship with a lover of your desire. It can be used to target a specific person, to manufacture feelings of love, lust, and passion in someone, even if they've previously despised you. So it can also be used as a weapon. I mean, why destroy your enemy with a curse when you can make them your love slave? So I like to make friends, not enemies, if I can. And if you have an antagonist or someone that is trying to destroy you, by placing this spell upon them, those feelings of hatred and disgust towards you are instantly removed, and then they will begin to feel guilty for the wrong and the harm that they have done to you. Then they will begin to feel very fond of you and try desperately to make that up to you. So it's very versatile, and I'm able to also custom tailor this ritual to fit the client, to fit their specific needs. Show you guys what it looks like. Once again, very simple, nothing flashy. This is actually a love spell that I did for my wife and I. We actually sat down and performed this ritual together. Now, this does also include a blood sacrifice. I've experimented with this ritual for years and years, trying to perfect it. And it wasn't until I evoked Astarte, or Ishtar, or Astaroth, the goddess of love and war, that I was given the right combination of implements and techniques used to really perfect this working. And within the jar here is a fetish link to each person involved. There's also a petition in here, and a combination of different herbs and implements that I've literally collected from all over the world, that when combining those together create a vibration that has a devastating effect on reality as well as the recipient. So after doing the evocation and asking the spirit to ensure the success of the operation, I then offer that spirit a blood sacrifice on behalf of the client, and channeling that energy from that sacrifice into this bottle, quite literally. And so it combines evocation with sympathetic magic, with blood sacrifice, candle bottle, and sex magic, to take what would otherwise be considered simple folk magic and turning it into a wrecking ball that literally smashes through the barriers of even the hardest hearts and instills whatever emotion you desire to plant there.
It's interesting. Your magic is very, as we already had said, very old world. when you talk about this particular spell, I can't help but to think of some of the recipes, the magical recipes that are in Albertus Magnus. Even some of the 6 and 7 books of Moses. There's a lot of these kinds of old world honey jar spells, or using different herbs and things like this. That it's just very old Pennsylvania kind of magic, if you will. It's interesting. It's very hoodoo almost, if you will, in this respect. Excuse me, in this respect. So,
yes, yeah, it is. It's very, very old world, very hoodoo-ish. There's a lot of different techniques combined in there. So after I perform this ritual, I actually mail you your spell bottle. I send it to you in the mail, complete with written instructions explaining to you what to do with it. And I also give you instructions for a very simple ritual that you can use to undo the effects of the spell in the event that someone falls creepy in love with you, or becomes a stalker or something like that. So the power of this working rests in the hands of the client after it is performed. So, I mean, that's something that should give people a little bit of comfort right there, to know that they hold that power in their hands.
That they can turn that off at will.
Yes, they can turn it off at will.
Under their discretion.
Absolutely.
Right. No, it's interesting to to say it's not only it could be only used as a love spell, but also as something of some kind of revenge, if you will. So, usually love spells don't involve anything like that, but I can definitely see the applications there as well.
Yes, I like to get creative with my workings, and sometimes a well-placed love spell can be far more devastating than a curse. I mean, you got to really think out the application and how you use it. I've also seen this ritual alter a person's orientation, which that's highly impressive to me, because most love spells can't do something like that. This is extremely special.
Yes. Well, that's definitely going to be something that I think people will be interested in for a lot of different reasons.
Yes.
So you've also got, now see, Belial has been really popular lately. A lot of buzz going around about Belial. He seems to definitely be making his presence known right now in this time, in this year. And you are actually offering a rite called the Court of Belial. This obviously deals with legal matters to some degree. There's a lot of different, a lot of different bases and aspects to Belial, but you're focusing in on more of a legal aspect. What does this involve?
Well, Belial is the ideal spirit to evoke if you are having legal trouble. That's actually how I got started on my path. Belial was the first spirit I ever successfully evoked, and it's because I was facing charges. Not to go too in depth into that, but my family and I were attacked by some meth heads at a private swimming pool one day, and I was forced to respond with equal deadly force in order to save my family from this attack. Unfortunately, in our society, we do not have the right to defend ourselves. So I was facing 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after this encounter. Now, this drug out for 4 years until I had completely exhausted all of my financial resources and lost my job and my home and everything else that I had that was worth anything. And so it was out of sheer desperation that I did this. And I evoked Belial. And that was the first time I ever saw a manifestation of the spirit. And so I simply asked him, to help me with this problem. I said, I want the charges dropped. I don't want to go to trial. I don't want to do another hearing. I don't want to give one more dime to a lawyer. I want the felonies gone, period. And less than 24 hours later, my lawyer calls me and tells me that my felony charges are being dropped. The district attorney reviewed my case and had a change of heart, which is completely unheard of. There is no heart in their mindset. It's a business. It's about getting a conviction. Innocent people go to prison every day, and these people sleep like babies knowing that they put them there. I've never heard of something like that. So that was a holy shit moment. That was an undeniable moment, and a defining moment for me. And since then, I have worked with Belial very, very closely, and I really wanted to offer this service to other people, because I mean, that's one of the worst things that you or your family can go through, is to face a situation like that.
Right.
And so what this entails is I sit down for a personal consultation with the client, and this allows me to get to know them a little bit and find out what's going on, so I can custom tailor this ritual to their specific situation. I then evoke Belial, petition him on the client's behalf, and make a blood sacrifice to him on the client's behalf, and simply ask him to help them resolve their legal issue. And this yields very, very potent results as well.
That's it's really powerful. Talking about Belial in these particular ways, he's got such an influence over things. I mean, it's like when you do a magical rite, you know, as sorcerers, you know, we know our magic works, but it is really nice to get that verification, especially exactly what you had put out there in the world, so immediately. You know, get that validation of, you know, I've done this, and then the next day, the exact same, you know, the exact result is accomplished. And you know, like you said, those moments are shattering to one's reality. It's like, you know, this really is something that's working. This is a science. This does work. These spirits are real, and they do hear us, you know, and they do work with us to help us ascend. And you experienced that firsthand with Belial, and it's I'm sure an amazing experience to actually have witnessed that manifestation also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That to this day, that was the most profound, incredible experience I've ever had. And I've had quite a few defining moments along my path, and that still stands at the top of all of them.
Right. No, it's understandable. So you're offering services here. You've got Successful Business Rite, Astarte's Ultimate Love Spell that deals with love. You've got the Court of Belial here, which deals with legal matters and helps out in all these areas. But not only there, but you've also got one that kind of focuses in on one's physical state and well-being, and that's the health and wellness rite that you're offering. What's involved with this?
Well, this is a very cool ritual. It's used to combat disease, improve health, accelerate the healing of injuries, things of that nature. This is in no way a substitute for medical treatment or anything like that. This is simply to help you with the situation. This is a little bit more elaborate in its execution. What I do is I of course offer a consultation with this ritual, so I can discuss what's going on with the client. And then I will sync up with the client in order to do the ritual. And I will instruct them to draw a sigil of an ancient god or goddess, depending on what the affliction is, depends on which spirit I would evoke for this. And I will have them lay down on the other end and simply light a candle and relax while I perform the ritual. Now, this is a very elaborate ritual that entails a lot of different things, including magical chants and energy work, and also a blood sacrifice as well. And so during this rite, I spill the blood of a sacrifice onto the sigil that I've made with the client's name written in the middle of it. On the other end, they have the same sigil on the body or underneath the body where the afflicted area is. I then burn that on my end as an offering, not only to the spirit, but to them as well, and ask the spirit to channel the energy from that sacrifice directly to them through that sigil to the afflicted area to aid in accelerating the healing or combating the illness, whatever that might be. And this is something that I've also gotten profound results from. I mean, just incredible, mind-blowing miracles have occurred from using this technique. Everything from organ rejuvenation to gallstones to cancerous tumors. I mean, I've used this for quite a bit, and I've gotten very good results every time. And I can't say that about a lot of rituals, but using this particular ritual, I've yet to have a client or a person I've done this for that has not seen the desired improvement. And to me, that is incredible. And I felt a responsibility to offer this as well in the specialty rituals, because I don't know too many people that don't suffer with some type of health condition or problem. And this is such this treats such a broad sector, this treats so many different symptoms and illnesses that it can really be tweaked to custom fit whatever the client is dealing with.
Right. Now, this is the same rite that you had done to help me out. Yeah, I've experienced several of your rites now, and I have kind of a bad back sometimes. It kind of comes and goes. And you had done this rite for me, and the next morning I woke up and it was completely gone. And that's something that does not occur. It usually takes me several months, actually, to get back to being normal. And with this rite, I actually experienced, again, that overnight kind of sensation. You know, I went to sleep in pain, I woke up and I was fine. And I was absolutely blown away by the quickness of how this ritual worked. Like, I thought that would be all right, you know, this is going to help. It's going to take a little time, give it a week or so, you know, but this was instantaneous and absolutely powerful. And still to this day, I'm great. So thank you again for that. But yeah, it's definitely something that has helped me. And there's a lot of people out there that definitely could use different techniques like this to help them in their overall health. This also, does this increase energy at all?
Well, it actually does, in that you're transferring a massive amount of energy into the client's body. Now, that energy is focused to the specific area of the body that is afflicted, but you will also feel that energy radiating throughout your entire body as well. So
right.
Energy kind of goes where it needs to go, but people tend to see an overall improvement in their energy levels as well as their physical health.
So that's what I was thinking. That's why I had asked, because I'm sure they would feel an overall kind of sense of rejuvenation or just a heightened kind of state of energy. So
yes, that is exactly what people have reported back to me. So
awesome. So you've got these rituals, but you're also offering one more here, and that's essentially a kind of a clean slate. It's custom rituals. What is this?
Well, I wanted to put that in there because, you know, I've provided a select group of specialty rites that are of a common interest, and they're rituals that I've perfected over the years, and they work very, very well, and they're very commonly requested. But this is such a small fragment of what I actually do. So when you book the custom magic ritual, this gives you full access to all of my capabilities. So what we do is, once again, sit down for personal consultation, and this allows me to get to know the client and make that connection with them. And we simply discuss what they're dealing with. And I will then construct a custom magic ritual specifically to fit whatever your needs are. And the toolbox is very, very deep at this point. So yeah, that usually, I'm usually able to put together something that is quite helpful. And yeah, that gives you full access to everything that I'm capable of.
That's great. Really just kind of fine tune it to exactly what they're looking for, essentially.
Absolutely.
So all of the rights that you're offering here, they, as you had said, they are accompanied with a consultation, but you can also just do consultations with you as well, just to try to ask about different things or figure out different philosophies or any questions you might have, or any rights, questions about rights that you may have. And that's an awesome service as well to have.
Yeah, the consultation, I get a lot of questions from magicians that are interested in the things that I do. Blood sacrifice being the main thing, because this is something that's kind of a lost art at this point, and it's making a strong comeback, and a lot of people are very interested in how to actually perform this type of ritual. And so, if you have questions like that, or something that you need help with that I specialize in, then this just gives us some one-on-one time to talk about that and see if I can help you out. Another thing with the custom magic ritual that I'm getting a lot of requests for is to make sacrifices to people's spirit guides or spiritual servitors. This is an excellent way to empower a spirit, in that when you evoke a spirit into the triangle and make a blood sacrifice to them, they absorb that life force energy that's being released, which makes the spirit stronger and stronger with each repetition. So if you have a succubus, or you have an astral egregor that you have created and you want to amplify the power of that spirit, then that's something you can hire me to do as well. And that's, once again, something that a lot of people aren't able to do because of their location. So
yeah, that's an awesome service that you that you're definitely offering there. So, well, I want to thank you so much for being part of this house again. It's an honor to have you as a member. Your rights are very powerful. Really impressive stuff that you're offering the public, and I want to thank you for that as well.
Well, thank you, brother. This has been an honor to be a part of this, and it was such a proud day to roll this out and make it public, man.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy to be a part of it.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. We will talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.